mostly, you can't miss them dressed in the red sweatshirts.
Okay, thanks, Zach. That's Zach talking to Catherine Gullish, part of a group of young people who've been sleeping outside to bring attention to homelessness. My name is Jonathan Crow, in today with Anthony Germain on CBC Radio 1 640. It's now just past 6:25. -2 outside, wind chill -7. The flags are hanging lips, so there's no wind right now.
Now, one of the first things I want to introduce you to in the joy of radio, we have this program called Dalit, right?
Right, yes.
And just as we were about to go to our business report, Dalit crashed.
Oh.
So this is where you and I decide exactly what we're going to do. And fortunately, we have a whole bunch of other stories, local ones, including this one. The United Way charity has reached a milestone in this province, raising $1 million.
Yeah, they handed out their annual Spirits Award last night at the Ballyhaley Golf and Country Club. And Tammy Davis is Executive Director of United Way in this province.
And here she is explaining where the money goes.
Community fund, and this is a pool of funds that comes from our donations where registered charities right across the province are invited to apply. The application process is open right now until the end of the month, and so they can apply for funding under our focus areas, and all that information is found on our website, or they can call our office. And it's for, some of the most vulnerable in our province. And so our philosophy is that for our province to be truly great, it has to be great for everyone. So it's about, making kids all that they can be helping, women and children and seniors and literacy programs and, employment programs and education. So it's about, giving individuals the skills that they need to be successful in life.
That's Tammy Davis, the Executive Director of United Way in this province. ExxonMobil received the Star of the Way Award for raising the most money. ExxonMobil raised over $280,000.
Leonard Cohen, the legend, is on the Mile 1 stage on April 20th. There's only one way into the sold-out show. If you want to be going to Cohen, listen to the St. John's Morning Show with Anthony Germain for your chance to win tickets.
Suzanne.
Right now, up until showtime, we've got your ticket to Leonard Cohen. Going to Cohen with the St. John's Morning Show.
It's Maggie Gillis, and of course, all week we've been inviting people to drop by our studios here on University Avenue and drop off some non-perishable food and get their name in the ballots for the VIP front row tickets. We're going to draw those winners, the lucky winner for the front row tickets at the very end of today's show. I want to thank everybody for being so generous this week. It's 28 minutes past 6.
Yeah, coming up, Anthony, just want to plug Q.
Sure. Because Giancomeshi will kill us if we don't.
That's right. It's their Juno special. I don't know if any of the folks that sang Cohen this week qualify for the Junos. It will be recorded live in front of an audience last night at the Connexus Arts Centre in Regina, a celebration of Canadian musical talent, complete with interviews and performances. Tom Cochrane, K.D. Lang, Corb Lund, and Bahamas are among Gian's guests. Tune in today at 10 a.m. That's 10:30 in Newfoundland. Always a good show.
Yep. Right. Zach Gowdy, I'm not sure where he is right now. If he's sort of cuddled up under a blanket or some cardboard out with those people. Where are you? Still there?
Oh, still down in front of Atlantic Place. In fact, just sort of watching the street warm up. One of the first places, actually, where you start to see human activity bustling in St. John's. They're at Atlantic Place, of course, because the gym upstairs opens at 6 a.m., and so the doors here are open at 6 a.m., and so at 6 a.m., somewhere they can go to get warm. I guess it's kind of one of the realities that you get used to facing when you're spending a week out on the street, or even more than that in lots of cases. I know they've actually gotten to know some of the crowd that do actually live out here on the street in downtown St. John's just by being around them for the last 5 days. They had lots of great stories to tell, and they'll share them with you as well if you're down here on Water Street. You can't miss the big crowd in the red sweatshirts from the 120-hour sleep out. And I hope actually they stay inside a little while longer, because it's shaping up to rain out here any minute. Is that just me? It really feels like it's going to rain this morning, Anthony.
Well, I know that when your bones start giving those signals, it means precipitation's on the way. We'll talk to you after World Report.
Thanks, buddy.
I'm Anthony Germain here with Jonathan Crow.
Yes, and I can tell you it's -2, wind chill of -7 out there.
5:30.
Q is off to Regina for an all-star, jam-packed live show celebrating this year's Juno Awards, with performances by K.D. Lang, Tom Cochrane, Bahamas, Dragonette, Corb Lund, and some good old-fashioned hockey trash-talking from Juno Cup captains, NHL legend Gary Roberts, and Blue Rodeo's Jim Cuddy. Q with Giancomeshi in Regina, today at 10 a.m. and 10 p.m., 10:30 in Newfoundland.
CBC News. Good morning, I'm Martina Fitzgerald. This is World Report. We begin in Boston, where a major police operation is underway. Hundreds of officers are going door to door in Watertown. That is a Boston suburb. They're telling people to stay inside. Police have confirmed they've shot and killed one of the suspects connected to Monday's bombings at the Boston Marathon. The other is on the loose. Here's what Boston police just told reporters.
We believe this to be a terrorist. We believe this to be a man who's come here to kill people. We need to get him in custody.
The CBC's Tom Perry is following all of this. He is in Watertown this morning. Hi, Tom. What's the latest?
Well, I can tell you it's been a chaotic and violent night in the Boston area. As you said, we heard that it began last night at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. A campus police officer got into a confrontation with a couple of people there. The officer ended up being shot multiple times and killed. That's when this began. That began the major police operation that's been going on all night here. Two suspects were then involved in a carjacking, apparently a police chase ensued. Now, police are saying that explosives were thrown at them from the car when they were pursuing it. There was gunfire, and when it was over, one of the suspects was dead. Now, that suspect has now been identified as suspect number one. That's, one of the two people suspected of being behind the bombing this week at the Boston Marathon. Now, what's the situation right now is that suspect number two, the second suspect, is still on the loose. And that's the person the police are referring to as a terrorist, someone who's come here to kill people. They're telling people to stay in their homes, not answer their door, that this is an extreme emergency. And so that's the situation right now. As I say, it's dramatic, it's chaotic, it's been very violent, and it's still ongoing.
Have police offered any clues yet, Tom, as to who these individuals are?
No, at this point, all we know is what we heard last night, is that these people are known as suspect number one and suspect number two. Now, these are people who the police released pictures and video of yesterday afternoon, pictures of them walking in the crowd at the Boston Marathon. These were two male suspects, nondescript, to be honest. One was wearing a black ball cap, one was wearing a white ball cap, both carrying backpacks. Now, police say that one of the suspects, suspect number two, the person still on the loose, was seen putting down a backpack shortly before the explosion, the second explosion, at the finish line of the Boston Marathon. I'm just being checked by police here. So that's the situation. They're waiting for suspect. They're trying to still find suspect number two. I answered, yeah. Okay. I was just being checked by police there, Martina, sorry. But that's that gives you an idea of just the situation here in Watertown. Police are coming up and checking people, anybody who shouldn't be here, or doesn't look like they should be here, I suppose, checking to see that I guess they're not the suspect they're looking for. As I was saying, the suspect number two is still on the loose. Police are still looking for them, so the situation here is still very tense.
Tom, thanks very much.
Okay, thank you.
That is the CBC's Tom Perry near Boston in Watertown, Massachusetts. To recap, authorities say one of two suspects in the Boston Marathon bombings is dead. There is a huge manhunt underway for another. This started last night with the shooting death of a campus police officer at MIT. The police investigation determined that the two men were involved. There was a carjacking that followed, and during the pursuit of that vehicle, police say explosives were thrown from the car. There was an exchange of gunfire. One of the suspects was critically injured and later died. Police are still looking for the second individual they describe as the individual wearing the white hat in the video from Monday's marathon in Boston. A huge manhunt underway in the Boston area, with people in Watertown told not to open their doors to anyone. In other news this morning, since CBC first broke the story of the Ontario high school friends who turned to Al-Qaeda, many have questioned if something could have been done to prevent their role in January's deadly siege at a gas plant in Algeria. The CBC's Adrian Arsenault has some exclusive details on how Ali Medledge and Chris Katz-Darubis went from a London high school to misadventure in Algeria.
Friends and family members say they lost sight of London high school pals Ali Medledge and Chris Katz-Darubis as of spring 2011 after the young men went to Mauritania to study. There seemed to be no sign of them until their remains were then found among those of other dead militants after the January gas plant attack in Algeria. But CBC has now learned that Ali Medledge could have been stopped. He actually was, briefly. That's because Medledge was arrested in late 2011 as part of a broad terror sweep by Mauritanian officials. But somehow, Ali Medledge didn't stay in jail. He was questioned for 40 days and then just released. Ordinarily, Canadian diplomats in the region would have jumped on a case like this, but sources tell CBC that no one informed Canadian officials there when Ali Medledge was arrested. By the time Canadian officials learned of the arrest, it was too late. Medledge was free, able to continue on to his murderous mission in Algeria. CSIS and the RCMP had started asking questions about Ali Medledge as early as 2007. The RCMP were passing pictures of him around London, Ontario mosques in the summer of 2012, looking for him. But by that time, he'd been gone for at least a year. Did someone or some agency in Canada drop the ball? Could anything have been done to prevent the attack in Algeria? Maybe not, but the questions have to be asked and have to be answered. Adrienne Arsenault, CBC News, Toronto.
In the small town of West in Texas, hundreds gathered last night for a candlelight vigil.
It's pulled us closer in as a family. I mean, because this community, we are a family.
The community is grieving. The number of dead is still not clear following Wednesday's huge explosion at a fertilizer plant. About 160 people were injured and the center of town leveled by the blast. As the CBC's Jennifer Westaway tells us, authorities continue to look for the cause of the deadly explosion.
We'll take a couple more questions.
But more questions than answers still about the blast that tore the heart from this small town.
Firefighters down. Again, there has been an explosion. There are firefighters down.
Officials no longer want to even estimate the casualties from Wednesday's blast, but the mayor of West, a volunteer fireman himself, says it's clear some of his fellow first responders got the worst of it.
They were in very close proximity to the explosion, thus we have not been able to locate those firemen yet.
Search and rescue teams still sift the rubble. The north of town is off limits to all but investigators. Residents, now evacuees, share phone pictures of their now unsafe homes.
That's what it looks like. Can you see?
Oh my, okay.
The windows are shot out sideways, see?
Jean Smith doesn't even have pictures.
I left home. I didn't pick up my purse. I didn't pick up a cell phone. I just left.
Her house is badly damaged. She knows she's lost friends. It doesn't seem real.
We've been too busy. We've been too, really, the shock, really.